I've got a massive breaking news story. Multiple USAID workers just testified that Elon Musk nearly got them and their families killed after he rapidly dismantled USAID and left them trapped in a foreign country with zero escape plan while there was a breakout of violence in that country. This is the largest scandal to come out of Doge, yet nobody's talking about it, and we need to be hammering this home. These are the consequences of rapidly dismantling institutions without any sort of oversight or foresight or safety plan or contingency plan or safeguards. Elon Musk is barreling through our institutions, and American citizens are facing the consequences. Even Representative Don Beyer said, "This is an absolute scandal. Trump and Marco Rubio abandoned American workers and their families abroad without approving grant waivers to provide their safe return to the United States. They lost their possessions, they lost their housing, they lost their pay, all of their money, and the whole time, Elon Musk was slandering them with bogus accusations about them being radical left Marxists. They were trying to spread transgenderism in the Congo. While he was spreading these lies, they were fleeing for their lives while their homes were being looted, and they testified about all of this in court. We have the testimony, and again, we need to continue hammering home the Elon Musk coverage. We need to keep our foot on his neck, metaphorically, of course, because they are prevailing right now. Elon Musk is rapid firing 200 ketamine-fueled tweets a day about USAID, about Social Security. He's just lying and lying and lying, and this is how we push back. So make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe, and let's just break down. I guess let's start from the beginning. USAID staffers describe colleagues abandoned in violence in Congo as Doge ends assistance programs. And listen, I've said this so many times. There are legal channels to report fraud or report waste or abuse of government funds. Elon Musk is not going through those legal channels. He is abruptly eliminating a bunch of humanitarian programs, development programs, programs domestically that American citizens rely on. But let's read this. A lieutenant of Trump ally Elon Musk and other outsiders are overseeing the immediate termination of hundreds of American aid and foreign assistance programs abroad this week without required documentation or justification. Meanwhile, new affidavits from USAID staffers recently based in Congo described the gutting of their agency by President Trump and Musk, which they said left them abandoned and in danger from political violence in the African country's capital. Again, they had to testify in court. As chaos reigned at USAID's headquarters with senior leadership removed and funding frozen, USAID workers and their families abroad had no agency help in fleeing after looters overran their home. In Kinshasa, several of the staffers said in sworn accounts to a federal court. Congo-based USAID staffers who described getting out with nothing but their backpacks wrote of now being stranded in Washington without a home or agency payments and facing joblessness. This is how they are treating American citizens who put their lives on the line to go help other countries. And why is the mainstream media not hammering this home? It's so easy. Trump is genuinely destroying our credibility abroad, whether it's with Europe and Ukraine, whether it's with the Congo or Denmark, wherever it is, Trump is ruining our credibility. And really quickly, before we read these sworn affidavits from the workers, I just want to read this thread that says, how does USAID help Americans? Well, one example, quote, when I was working in the Congo in their first and only elections, the civil war had ended with an estimated 50,000 orphans under 18 in the capital. Again, 50,000 orphans after the Civil War. Many had been forced into becoming child soldiers in the Civil War. Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups saw it as a job fair, essentially, recruiting by offering food, money, shelter, a way to get off the streets, and in turn, you fight for a terrorist organization. USAID officials were fighting this by offering alternatives of job training, shelter, medical care, and psychological help for the traumatized orphans. I saw this work. Tens of thousands of potential terrorists, people that would have been preyed upon as children to enter these terrorist organizations, were now given an alternative life and embraced it with relief. No 12-year-old wants to continue a life of violence and death if given another path, but a lot of times you don't have another path. This is soft power. This is how USAID helps. We could have waited to confront the threat with our military, but it was much cheaper and far more efficient to spend USAID dollars than waiting until people were killing Americans. Elon Musk has private bodyguards, flies on private planes. He's insulated from any danger. But are you insulated from any danger? And the answer to that is no. And the effects of dismantling USAID will be felt for decades. There's a long tail end on these effects, but let's break down how the USAID employee workers outlined their escape with their family from the Congo as the Trump admin dismantled USAID. So this says, I, along with others at USAID, learned via messages from another USAID employee that there were protesters outside his house setting fires and causing damage. He described the situation over the radio. Eventually, I heard this USAID employee describe over the radio that protesters had breached the gates of his home, and I heard him request an evacuation. I later learned that he and his family had been safely extracted from the situation by armed security working for the U.S. Embassy. For the U.S. Embassy, not for USAID, which is supposed to provide a safe evacuation plan. But they had already lost all of their belongings to looting. Videos of the looting of his home circulated on local social media, and shortly thereafter, around midday, I began to hear protesters chanting outside the walls of my home. My children were playing outside, so I called them in, and my spouse and I set about locking all of the doors and the gates of our home. We were scared. Mercifully, the protesters never attempted to breach our gate. Within a few hours, embassy leadership convened a meeting to discuss the security situation and determine whether the embassy should evacuate and go on ordered departure, often referring to an OD. Leadership determined in that meeting that we would evacuate and go on ordered departure, though a small number of staff would stay behind to maintain operations, and just like that, just with Elon Musk snapping his fingers, lives are ruined, violence breaks out, and America loses soft power in the Congo. And here we have another example. Washington staff, concerned that any spending not directly approved by then acting administrator Jason Gray would be met with accusations of subverting the executive order, determined that they needed to process a waiver request with approval from the acting administrator. Thankfully, the career staff took up this effort despite perceived risks that they may suffer retaliation from the Trump administration. It is an absolute mess. And I just want to point out, USAID takes up 0.4% of our spending. 0.4%. Elon Musk could have tried to cut abuse and fraud in the military or in any of the sectors that aren't healthcare and USAID and Social Security, but those would be conflicts of interest for Elon Musk because he has contracts with them. So Musk's approach to the government is not about budget cuts. It's about eradicating agencies with zero oversight and benefiting his own corporate and personal interests. And we'll leave it there. I'll keep covering the legal challenges as they mount, and I love all of you guys. Drop a like, subscribe, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.